All right, everyone, welcome to Margin Theory, where we bring you stories from CEOs and business owners about how they can make sense of business and life. Today, I have a special guest, and I'm super pumped to have this conversation. Alex McMyler is the CEO of Archer Specialties, a fast-growing Texas subcontractor and a former stay-at-home mom turned latrine queen who built a successful construction business from scratch. Alex, welcome to the show. Really glad to have you here.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right, so let's start from the beginning. Tell me a little bit about your story. How did you get into what you're doing with Archer, and then what does Archer actually do?
Okay. Yeah, I certainly did not grow up planning on working in construction, commercial restrooms specifically. It wasn't like a dream or anything I even trained for or took a single class for in college.
Mm-hmm.
I had been a stay-at-home mom for 7 or 8 years and was looking to I just need to get out of this house.
Mm-hmm.
And a friend of a friend knew a guy who owned a general contracting business. So I went to work for him, just let
Mm-hmm.
me do admin, let me do billing. And I learned the business from kind of the back office
Mm-hmm.
up. Through there, I got an opportunity to learn how to do estimating and learn how the business works together, how the different
Yep.
trades work together.
Yep.
And through that, just kept seeing this hole in this one particular trade. There was
Mm-hmm.
not anybody in the space that was just great at it. There was like
Mm-hmm.
customer service was missing entirely, and it was this division 10, which is what we do, and it's commercial accessories. So we're the subcontractor that comes in at the end of a commercial project and does things like the restroom partitions and the grab bars and soap dispensers. But
Yep.
it's a catch-all. It includes fire extinguishers, lockers,
Mm-hmm.
bike racks, wall protection. We're kind of just whoever's whenever they're like, oh, who's going to do that weird thing? It's us.
Mm-hmm.
So there's quite a bit of customer service that goes into it. Of hey, we don't, this is not something we've ever done before, or
Mm-hmm.
who's going to do this weird thing? And it's like, okay, we're going to take a risk on each other and figure this out together.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so, I don't consider myself an entrepreneur at heart. I'm not the person that ever was like, I want to be the CEO. I want to own my own business. I have friends that own their own business, saw how hard worked and like didn't want any part of that.
Mm-hmm.
But it was such a great opportunity. And it coincided with a time in my life where I realized I was in a dangerous situation.
Mm-hmm.
My kids and I needed a different alternative to our
Yep.
future. So I was,
Yep.
in the middle of a divorce, and it was kind of a funny conflux of things of just like, how much worse can it get? Like,
Mm-hmm.
why not? I can sign a personal guarantee right now. I got nothing they can take.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so it was a good opportunity of this idea that I knew there
Mm-hmm.
was a need. And it was something that I was like, I can do this. This isn't electrical engineering. I can figure this out.
Mm-hmm.
And it
Yep.
gave me the opportunity to still dream of
Mm-hmm.
giving my kids the life that I had
Mm-hmm.
planned for them.
Yep.
I wasn't happy to make $14 an hour for the rest of my life. And, maybe
Mm-hmm.
this business works, maybe it doesn't, but at least there's the chance and there's the
Mm-hmm.
dream of like, I still could take them on vacation someday. I still
Mm-hmm.
can pay for their college someday. And as much as like being an entrepreneur and owner of a business is a struggle most days, this feeling of like, I did it, I made this it's a pretty strong drug
Yeah, yeah, especially when you get the momentum and then the momentum's just come it's right behind you and you just keep moving forward and you just keep stacking wins. That's the best part about it.
for sure, for sure. And I think it's been a hard lesson to learn that there's never like, okay, we're going to get over this hill and then it's smooth sailing. Like behind
Hmm.
every hill, there's another bigger hill.
Yep.
But you do get so much better at dealing with hard.
Hmm.
Like, last couple of weeks, we've had some challenges here and there in the business. And I literally thought to myself, this would have knocked the air out of me a year ago, 2 years
Hmm.
ago. But now I'm just like, yeah, well, is what it is. We know what happens next. Like we know what to do now. There are steps to keep taking forward. It's just this will be another great story to talk about someday.
That's cool. That's cool. So wait, this was around how many years ago that you just made that start then?
4 years ago.
4 years ago. And then
In
before that,
11 days, it'll be 4 years ago.
4 years ago. Okay. And then for like before that 4 years, you were working with that other subcontractor. Or not the subcontractor, you were working with that other business, and then they were actually helped. Like you just immersed yourself and you learned everything that you could. And I love the fact that you brought up that, like, you were seeing this actual need. Was there like a first point when you actually saw that need, like a specific case that you saw, and then you're just like, okay, I got it. And I know that like you have like it was like the perfect time to that, but when you saw that need, was it like a way that the business was handling clients, or like what was that?
Yeah, I mean, so I was doing estimating, and so I'm the one doing takeoffs, and I'm trying to call subcontractors and get bids and collate bids. And I remember calling a company and being like, hey, are you guys going to give us a bid? And their answer was, hey, if it's going to be less than a $50,000 contract, don't even call me.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just like, so who's doing this work? Like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to give you money, take my money. And they were so overwhelmed, like they were busy. They were busy enough to be able to turn away work like that. And so I was just like, maybe this is something I should be doing. Like,
Ah.
maybe I can do it myself. And like, honestly, it was born out of necessity in that the general contractor I was working for, they were getting this answer of like, nope, we're not bidding you. And I'm like, okay, so who's going to do it? So when I
Uh-huh.
formed the business, my first client was this GC. I kind of formed it just to serve them.
Uh-huh.
Um, I don't know that my dreams extended very far beyond that in those really early days of just like, well, I can just, form this company, solve this problem amongst friends, and what a great way for me to learn because I could literally walk down the hall to the project manager, to the accountant, whatever, and say, hey, like, what's a submittal? What's a pay app?
Mm-hmm.
Am I reading these plans right? Am I seeing this right?
Mm-hmm.
Amongst people that I was close with and friendly with that were willing to mentor me
Mm-hmm.
just on a day-to-day basis with the dumbest questions.
Yeah, that's actually a perfect response because I've been on, calls like, this interview with so many other entrepreneurs now over the last couple of weeks that they've said similar situations. Like they were working at a business already and they saw that need. And when they saw that need, it wasn't being fulfilled. And when, it wasn't being fulfilled, they were just like, I gotta do this, like how about this? I just do it for you, and they take a pay cut and then they start something on their own, and it's awesome because it happens a lot, and a lot of entrepreneurs think that they need to start this new idea when they just gotta get out there and find opportunities and find needs that are unsolved,
Mhm.
so that's
Yeah, and
perfect.
it's a great solution for everybody, right?
Hmm.
The company that you're now serving, like they're losing an employee, but they're, solving another problem,
Hmm.
right? And me as an employee, I'm probably replaceable, but
Hmm.
as a service provider, not so much.
Not so much, not so much. Love that. So, okay. And before when I spoke with you, I don't want to just talk about business today. The real story is within you, Alex, and this is awesome that you built this. So let me ask you this. When you're building Archer, what actually grounds you? Like when things get hard and you've been building this for around 4 years now, and the answers, just aren't always obvious. What keeps you going?
I would say that it's probably the lack of an alternative. I mean, what's there on the hardest days, like I might want to lay down and die, but that's not really an option. So
Hmm.
just put my head down and keep working.
Hmm.
That's, I think, the one skill set that I have, fortunately or unfortunately, is just like I'm really not a quitter.
Hmm.
And it's not always served me well throughout my life. I should have gotten a divorce many years before I actually did.
Hmm.
I should have, you know, quit basketball a long time before I did. My career was not going anywhere in basketball.
Hmm.
But I think here it's going to serve me well.
Hmm.
Um, there were certainly days really early on where I kept thinking any minute I'm going to get the call that's like, yeah, we gotta give this up. You're
Hmm.
you're digging too far into a hole. You're never going to come out of it. And um, it's just like, well, let's let's get through this week and see how it looks next week. Is kind of
Hmm.
literally how it goes. It's like,
Hmm.
I need to turn this computer off, turn my brain off for a little while, and look at it again on Monday. And generally
Hmm.
on Monday, things look brighter.
Things are brighter and stuff. You just keep putting your head down. I know that feeling
Right.
too. I get
And
that feeling.
every project ends. Every problem resolves in one way or another. It's not it feels in the moment like this is it forever. Things are never
Hmm.
going to be better.
Hmm.
But even the toughest projects eventually do close out.
Hmm. Yeah, that's like that reminds me of something. It's like you got to trust the process.
Yeah.
Because if you just get like inner wave and you get taken left and right and everything, if you don't trust the process, you could just keep, accumulating stress. So it's not worth it.
Right. And I've done this for long enough now that I understand pretty well, I think, my strengths and weaknesses. And I've
Hmm.
built a team around me that has different strengths.
Hmm.
And so my team is very good at like, this is the process, we're following it. I am not that way. I will chase a
Hmm.
squirrel. I will, get in a rush and be like, oh, it's fine. Like, let's just do it this way just for right now, just to get through it. And they're the ones that are like, nope, we're staying right here between the guardrails. And like,
Hmm.
that's what I need them for.
Hmm. Okay. So let me ask you about the physical side of things. How do you take care of yourself while you're building Archer Specialties? Like, do you work out? Like, watch what you eat? Any routines that keep you sharp?
Yeah, I do. I'm a big fan of like the high intensity workouts. I do Orange Theory as often as I can.
Hmm.
Um, I played rugby in college,
Hmm.
and so I really like the physicality of try like just running all out.
Hmm.
Running until you feel like you've got no gas left in the tank is such a good feeling for me.
Hmm.
And it's not something I will go and just like do by myself. I know I'm not self motivated enough to go to the gym. Like I'll do a couple of these, couple of those, and be like, oh, that's enough. Like, no, I need a person there judging me if I cut it short, somebody telling me what the workout's going to be. Um, I try to eat pretty well, but I'm also in the business development side of things in this
Hmm.
business, and so you know, a couple nights a week, if I so choose, I could be out at events, eating and drinking, and that can
Hmm.
be a real challenge.
Yeah, especially with networking and stuff. It's hard.
Correct.
It's
It
a
is hard.
whole other thing too.
It
100%.
is.
Especially with those mixers. I think there's a lot of mixers. Because you're in
So many
Austin, right?
mixers. What's that?
You're in Austin, right? Or
Dallas.
Dallas, yeah. Especially with mixers in Texas cities and stuff, or every city basically.
Yeah. I was talking to someone about this recently of like the challenge of being in a role like this where like you're operations, but you're also sales, but you're also, everything else to find, the operations person is busy at 6 a.m.,
Hmm.
all day long. But then the business development person is busy from 3 p.m. all night long. And so there's just
Hmm.
like, there's never a point in the day where, oh yeah, I've got nothing to do right now. There's no
Hmm.
more I could be doing.
Hmm.
So I think it's I don't know, maybe the answer is designate certain days. Like, no, these are my operations days. These are my, but it's also not realistic. I don't know. I haven't solved that mystery yet. If anybody has an answer to that, let me know.
Maybe one day. Yeah, you just have to really check and see your schedule. One thought I'd like to add to that is that I try to schedule all my interviews, like these ones, on Thursdays, and then my mini t like other sales calls on Tuesdays, and then like, or just sales calls in general at 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. and stuff like that. So, yeah, that's always worked for me and stuff, but like there's other things like you said that, you can't get everything perfect. Sometimes you just gotta, go with the run with the gun.
Well, and I guess to answer your question about like, stress relief, working out, health, and that kind of stuff, I've got a
Hmm.
block on my calendar every Monday because there's a workout class nearby that I can go to. So
Orange Theory, right?
yeah, Orange Theory.
Oh, okay, okay.
But but sometimes some weeks it's a walk. I don't actually make it to the class, but at least it's like Monday at lunch. If I can make that workout and then I can't make any others for the rest of the week, at least I did the one. Right. If I tried for a while saving it for, oh, Thursdays or Fridays will be my workout day. No, the week is blown up by then.
Hmm.
So,
That's good.
you know,
I like that. What is okay, so Orange Theory, I see it all around now. And is it like what separates that from like the average gym? Just curious.
so it's just class based. You go and you spend half the
Mm.
class on the treadmill and half the class like rowing or lifting weights. And I
Oh,
mean, it's great because you try as hard as you want to, right? Like they give you the workout and it's, it's all done at the same time. It's not just like a free for all. So there's somebody there telling you, okay, now you sprint. Okay, now you jog. Okay, now you walk. And I hate running. So it's why I go there because they make me do it and they've made me a good runner despite, how much I hate it. And there are days where I will be on that treadmill just crying because you thinking about work, thinking about home, going through it. But it's like it's a physical release of all that stress in real
they just
time.
watch you while you're on the treadmill and just
Yeah.
watch it stare you down, make sure you keep
I've told the
going.
coaches before, like if I'm crying, just keep walking. Just keep going.
All right. But aside from going to Orange Theory every Monday, which I like because I do the same thing. I have to do the gym at least 2 times a week. I have to lift 2 times a week, no matter what. That rule with 1 time a week is perfect. But besides that, in your routine, what other things do you refuse to skip, even when the business is on fire?
Sleep. Sleep is up there. And like I would like to say, oh, I refuse to skip it. Like will hit a point in the day where I just like will crash and burn. I
Hmm.
like to go to bed by like 9 o'clock.
Hmm.
So um, I'll do something fun in the evenings occasionally, but I mean I've got young kids too. So it
Hmm.
is everything I can do to get them fed, teeth brushed, shower after their sports, and in bed. And like the second their eyes are closed, I'm right behind them. But it's incredible the difference when you're getting good sleep, how everything else is just easier to deal with.
Damn, so so you have kids too, and I'm sure that's a lot, especially when you're running the business and stuff, and the
Yeah.
business can pull you in every direction.
Mm-hmm.
How do you protect your time with your kids?
I mean, luckily the fact that I don't have a boss is very helpful. If nobody's gonna ask me where I'm going at
That's what a lot
2:30
of people
every
say
day.
too.
Yeah. Like I was able to structure my time, my plan around the fact that at 2:30 I got to be on my way home if I'm going to meet the bus.
Hmm.
And it's non-negotiable that my son gets dropped off at the bus and is standing there on the street, right?
Hmm.
So, yeah, the from 2:30 on, I'm pretty much doing kid stuff primarily. And then when an email comes in, they know, hey, I'm still working. So I got to go
Hmm.
do this email. I got to go do that. I got to make this call.
Hmm.
Um, there are times where we're driving to soccer practice or something and the phone rings and I'm like hollering back, this is a work call. Shut up. And they know. And they're 10 and 12. And so
Oh, that
they're
makes it a lot easier
oh my
too.
gosh, yeah. It's like we turned such a corner in the last year in terms of
Hmm.
them being able to like kind of watch themselves sit and play on an iPad. This summer is going to be the first time where I'm not paying more money than I make towards summer camps
Hmm.
to keep them occupied. Like I think they're going to spend a lot of time up here at the office,
Hmm.
um, which is great. Like that was also important to me as I built out this office. Every one of my employees has kids. And so
Hmm.
we have a little miniature couch. We've got a TV that's hooked up to, Amazon Prime. We've got snacks. I want everybody to feel free to like be a part of your family.
Hmm.
As long as the work gets done, what do I care what hour of the day you're doing it?
Hmm. Nice. What do you guys do? Like, do you set time for weekends, or do you still work on the weekends, or how do you manage your schedule on the weekends?
I for the most part, I'm not working on weekends. We like our field staff, our superintendents, a lot of times are having to work Saturdays,
Hmm.
but those projects are still there on Monday. Everybody deserves the time off, and I think like there's for me the weekend is like literally the laptop is shut and that part of my brain is off.
Hmm. Yeah, it's good to decompress. Always have some time to decompress or at least something, because I know people who are working weekends, working throughout the week, and it's just, it gets to you. It gets to you when you're always on your phone and always thinking about problems. So
Absolutely.
that's good. That's good. Okay, so let's zoom back on Archer Specialties. What does it look like at the present day, and where are you taking it from here?
So we have recently moved into our own office. We were subleasing um, at another place up until pretty recently, and so it's
Oh,
been great.
congrats, by the way. That's cool.
Thank you,
Is that
thank
this
you.
is
It's
that right here?
yeah. This
That's
is it.
awesome. Okay. Cool, cool.
Um, and we've got like a warehouse in the back, which I have had a ball just filling it with stuff. Um, but it's unlocked a new level of like, okay, now we need like a warehouse management system and
Hmm.
somebody, for all my talking of like, oh yeah, I don't care if anybody works from home or what hours of the day, like, well, crap, now we got to have somebody here to accept deliveries all the time.
Hmm.
Um, well, now we got to build a dock ramp. There's just like the next level of problem issues to work out, right?
Hmm.
Um, we are up to 6 employees. We've got somebody else, an intern starting next week, so that's
Oh,
exciting.
nice. Okay.
And I'm sure every company deals with this of like we're constantly battling the do we hire the people in anticipation of the work or do we win the work and then be on fire to hire people?
Yep.
Um, I'm of the thinking of if you build it, they will come kind of thing. So I'm trying to kind of always be hiring
Hmm.
and like I want to find great people, get them on the bus, and then figure out where they're going to sit. And
Hmm.
it's been really fun. The building of the team and having the team, I've enjoyed so much more than I thought I would.
Hmm.
Um, because it's been so great to get people on board, meet them, get to know them, see where their strengths are, and then let them be creative of like, what role do you think you'd be good at? What about this? What about this? And like, we've got this one guy, every department, every role we put him in, he makes better. And so it's
Uh-huh.
like, you know what, dude? Like, you're great at this. Why don't
Uh-huh.
why don't you come over into this department? Tell me what you think. And
Nice.
I've enjoyed that, watching that grow and morph. And so, we may be doing that again soon where I got another guy and it's like, I don't really have a space for you right now, but why don't you get on the boat and like, let's see.
That's awesome. That seems to me like something like, that's actually good leadership too. And, like when you literally sit there and you let them go do their own thing instead of micromanage or, get in their way all the time.
I've already got 2 children. I don't need to micromanage another soul.
What's been and I'm just curious now, what's been the biggest lesson that you've had in managing people now that you got this team of six, and you're running the company at the same time? What's one thing that you're doing right now that that or at least in the past that you've learned and that you do better?
Um, that's a hard one. I I think I've come around now that I'm actually having to lead. I've come around to this idea of like you can't want it for them, right?
Hmm.
And there's no amount of because like I've done this before with employees where like they weren't performing, and so it was like,
Hmm.
well, let me cut this piece out of your job, and maybe this, and let me cut this out, and let me cut this out, and like you're trying to put a square peg in a round hole, I guess.
Okay.
And I think I've realized like I need to give that up and like you just find the right people.
Got it. Okay, just in the
And
beginning, it's like you have to make sure you're vetting the right way before you
yeah,
bring them into the business. That's the
right.
big
Which,
thing.
is not an exact science and I haven't cracked the code on that either. Unfortunately the only way to know is to try it out.
Hmm. When you're Archer, and I'm sure that you've been working with your team or other employees, what's been, over these past 4 years, what's been the hardest decision you've had to make?
Oh gosh. I mean, I would think that it's, when it's time to hire somebody else.
Hmm.
Because we are very much a startup, shoestringing it along. I mean, we started it with almost no money, and literally, it's like we can't grow until we make the next amount of money. And
Hmm.
so, especially, I mean, those first 3 years when I wasn't getting a paycheck,
Hmm.
and it was having to decide, all right, do I continue to do the work myself, so and pay myself, or do
Hmm.
I hire somebody who would be better at it, and that
Hmm.
it would give me a better quality of life, in that I'm
Yep.
not the one, trying to work Saturdays and freaking out about the details of the project, but also the running of the business.
Yep.
And so, I decided pretty early on that, you know what, I think I'm going to live on ramen for a while and pay people who are better at this. And
Hmm.
let's build this business correctly from the beginning, bring in smarter people that have a different skill set, and I'll get paid on the back end. And
Hmm.
that's terrifying, because even when that's your decision, there's no guarantee that it's
Hmm.
ever coming back to you, right?
Hmm.
What if this collapses in 3 years, and it's like, man, I didn't make even a paycheck out of it for 3 years, and now it's worth nothing. And
That's what's motivating you too. You don't want that to happen. So it's like pushing
right,
you so much. Like it's not an option, like you said.
right. And then the
Yes.
struggle of, you've got people that are so great, and you're like, I think they're worth more,
Hmm.
but I literally don't have it, right?
Interesting.
So
Interesting.
that's another motivation for me, is I want to get this business to a point where I can reward people, beyond.
Yeah. Okay. So, you got people in your corner when you're running something. Well, actually, most people have mentors and stuff. And I like that you brought up mentors before, but Um, in the past 4 years, or maybe in the past 6 years, who are the people like that have been around that's been actually like challenging your thinking? Do you have anyone that in the backspace that's challenging you, that's trying to put that helps you, pushes you, and kind of helps you whenever you ask for like if you ever need a question answered?
Oh, absolutely. And I couldn't do it without the many, many people that I've had in my, network over the past few years.
Hmm.
I'm lucky in that, I spent a few years in the general contracting space, networking, just meeting people when I didn't need anything from them. When it was
Hmm.
just like, oh, I'm just networking, and I'm new to the industry and trying to learn how this all works, made these great contacts. And then
Hmm.
years later, when it was like, hey, I just started, I'm thinking of starting a business. I just started a business. What do you think? What would be your advice? And so now I have such a great network of people that, you know, a, a banker that I could come to.
Hmm.
And, you know, when every other bank told me no, this banker contact that I had known was like, listen, I'm gonna tell the bank your story. I'm gonna bet on you. Don't embarrass me. And I'm like, all right, you got it. And so, I've got a banker, I've got an insurance guy, I've got, you know, all the things. I don't think there was a single thing that I had to go find out or do or get that I didn't have someone I could call. I
Yep.
didn't do any just oh, let me Google, a surety broker, or let
Hmm.
me Google an IT outsourced IT
Yep.
company.
Yep.
There was somebody in my network for all of those things. And
Hmm.
even now I still am making calls all the time to other business owners, or, a project manager or something, where it's like, hey, what do you think about this?
Hmm.
What have you seen about this? A friend of mine, she is a former business owner. She was owned an electrical subcontractor, and she's been the greatest wealth of knowledge, because I'll be on my just evening walk on the phone with her, and she's just dropping advice, and it's like therapy almost. And there are
You see,
times where I'm like, I am feeling personally attacked by how accurate that just was. Um, and it's funny, because I recently met a young woman she's in my same position, but she's in her 20s, and she doesn't have that network. And my instinct to be like, come here, you live here now, and you're going to come along with me, and I'm going to hook you up with everybody. Cause like, I can't imagine being in the position that I was without the network and the help. You can't know it all. And so to be able to say like, hey, I don't know anything about banking. I don't know anything about contracts. I don't know, but you're the expert. Please help me.
Hmm.
Like that's how I sleep at night. To answer
Hmm.
your question, like I know that my contracts attorney is great at what he does.
Yep.
He worries about that, so I don't have to.
How did Alex, how did you build this network? Were you part of like any associations like BNI
Yeah,
or other ones?
what's fascinating to me is so when I was working at the general contractor, I spent a few years as their director of business development. But like
Oh, there we go. There we
I didn't know.
go. That's
Well, it was a
perfect.
role that previously didn't exist. I was the first one ever. And when they offered me the job, I literally said, "What's business development?"
Yep.
And they kind of handed me a credit card and they're like, make it what you want."
Hmm.
And so I took a very scattershot approach to learning the industry where I just like started going to anything and everything I could think of, just meeting people. And my whole philosophy is like, let me just make a friend. And
Hmm.
someday you may say, "Oh, yeah, I got a friend that does that." And they
Hmm.
call me.
Hmm.
Maybe I can't help them, but like I find so much joy in being able to connect other people.
Hmm.
Hey,
Oh,
you
it's the
have a need,
best. The
you have a
best.
need, you two are going to get along great. I love it.
And then they
Um,
look at you and they're like, that's the girl to know. She connects everyone and then you feel so much better about it. I love it.
yeah, it's like it's the best feeling in the world to know that like you were able to help somebody in that way.
Hmm.
Um, so the first few years that I was doing business development for the general contractor, I was really intimidated by the industry.
Of course.
I would show up to events and be the only woman there.
Yep.
And it's a bunch of guys who've been doing construction for 30 years, and which is not to say they weren't unwelcoming.
Hmm.
It's just a pretty intimidating space. You
Hmm.
gotta really be confident in yourself to just walk
Hmm.
into that room not knowing a soul.
Hmm.
Um, so I found myself going to a lot of there's like women in construction groups. And
Hmm.
so it's a pretty tight knit group and also very welcoming. I have found that construction is made up of some of the salt of the earth, the best people. There's a few of the worst, but like for the most part, everybody is great and they're
Hmm.
genuine and share your frustrations, share your experiences.
Hmm.
So I had a really good time building this network of other women in construction.
Hmm.
And sure enough, when I decided to go start the business, I, made a couple of calls and all of those women were like, absolutely, yes. I'm so excited for you. Great to hear it. Let me get you on our bid list.
Hmm.
And, at one point we won a really big job that we probably didn't have any business winning. And
Hmm.
I called my contact over there and she's like, well, yeah, I went and talked to the estimating guy for you. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, you know. So to have a network of not only business associates and friends, but like true friends and that like they're sticking their neck out for me is
Hmm.
pretty awesome.
That's awesome. That's
It's a lot of
cool.
pressure, but it's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I could relate with you too in the beginning when it's just like you just start networking, you're like, holy crap, like this is it's intimidating at first. It's
Hmm.
intimidating, but when you have that mindset, especially with the mindset that you had with I'm just gonna make a friend, like, just be natural, just go in and, try to help people, and be a resource, then everything all just ends up becoming, much easier. You don't worry about it. And down the line, you start getting referrals referred to you,
Right.
So,
And it is crazy how you never know where that next lead is going to come from. You might
hmm.
meet somebody and, we hit it off, but like we're not, our businesses don't overlap in any way.
Hmm.
And then
Yep.
5 years later, you get a phone call and it's like,
Yep.
hey, are you still doing that thing? Something about toilets, you know?
All right, so I have two more questions for you, Alex. All right, so looking ahead, what are the big goals for the next 12 months, both in business and life for you?
Um, so I I want to hit 3 million in revenue. Um, which, it's a stretch goal, but I think it's doable. We've got a lot of big stuff on the horizon, and we're growing our staff, and that feels like a good stretch, but not one that puts us growing so fast that we're going to end up falling off the tracks and it's painful for everyone. I don't want growth to be painful for my whole team,
Of course, yep.
most especially myself.
Hmm.
Um, personally, I'm digging myself out of the hole of the last few years of going through a super contentious divorce and
Of course,
all
yeah.
of that. And so I see light at the end of the tunnel, which is
Hmm.
great.
Hmm.
Um, my kids are
Just
in
take it one
such a
step at a
sweet spot.
time, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. My
Hmm.
kids are in such a sweet spot of their ages where they have like personalities and like a sense of humor, but they're not teenagers just yet because I keep hearing bad reviews about having teenagers. So, you know, my daughter's in middle school and doing all the middle school things, like in band and all the sports, and it's been fun. I'm shocked to hear myself say that, but I think the goal right now is like, all right, enjoy the sweet spot that we're in.
Cool, cool. And then one last question. What's been one of the biggest challenges you've been navigating in the business lately in terms of maybe even getting to that goal?
I think it's probably the same for every subcontractor in that it's cash flow. So as
Hmm.
a subcontractor, we finance the jobs, right? We
Hmm.
get we get a contract. I have to order the material. I have to store it. I got to pay for it. We don't get to bill for it until it's installed.
Hmm.
And unfortunately, almost every contract we sign has the terms of paid when paid, which means
Hmm.
paid if paid.
Hmm.
So, it's out of our control when we're going to get that money. Even if we're working with a GC that we like and trust and all of that, they're at the mercy of their client paying.
Hmm.
So, how do I grow appropriately? I don't want to say no to work,
Hmm.
but if, I've got a couple $100,000 worth of material sitting here and a job gets pushed, there's so many factors that are out of my control.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
so, yeah, I mean, I think every week it's a cash flow equation, and one little change here and there swings the projections so far. I'm sure you have a much better understanding of that even than I do.
Hmm. Yes, I get it. Yeah, 100%. And it's hard because you got to make sure you're also like making the right decision with the right person and stuff. So I get it. I
Right.
get it.
Right.
All
And
right.
we have like we tightened up our processes in terms of, we're really choosy about which clients we work with for this
Hmm.
reason.
Yep. Yep.
Um, and yeah, like growth, I like the growth is not the hard part for me. The
Hmm.
finding the work, executing the work is not the hard part. It's I've got to be sure that when I commit to our clients that we're going to do the work, that I'm sure that we aren't going to fail them.
Yep. That you're going to excel and you'll be able to deliver for them 100%.
Right, right. My whole sales pitch from the beginning has been, oh, customer service. Like I can't I can't become the clown that I've, made fun of for so long.
Awesome. Well, before we wrap up, Alex, where can people find you and what are you working on that you want people to know about?
Well, our office is in Addison, but we go kind of all over, mostly DFW, but we work down to Austin, San Antonio, Houston sometimes. Um, so we've got some exciting projects happening. There's the Dre Hotel, the
Hmm.
Village at the Dre. I don't know if you've seen it
Hmm.
on Instagram. It looks really cool.
Hmm.
Summer's coming up, so there'll be a lot of schoolwork over the summer.
Hmm.
They shut the schools down and put us in there. We're doing some data center work. That's the fun thing about our business is every commercial building has a bathroom.
Hmm.
So there's no vertical we don't work in.
Hmm. So you have an Instagram, do you have a handle, Instagram
We
handle?
do. I think it's at Archer Specialties. I'm working on taking over the handle latrine queen, but somebody else has got it already, believe it or not.
That's actually a good
Yeah,
name too.
we got a pretty great website and yeah,
And you're
Instagram.
up on LinkedIn as well, and you got a
I am.
website.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect, perfect. All right, well, this has been a great conversation, Alex.
Yeah, you too.
First off, just want to say thank you for being so open, through the interview and real with me today. And, the way you think about, building your business is exactly the kind of story that I want my audience and other business owners to hear. And so to everyone tuning in, thank you for being here. If this resonated with you, share it with a business owner in your life who needs to hear it. Until next time, keep pushing forward in faith, fitness, family, and business. Alex, really appreciate you. This was a great one.
Thanks so much. Good talking to you.